Good afternoon to everyone present here. It's a pleasure to introduce a multi-faced man, Dr. Kofi Abochi. He is a PhD scholar in American literature from the University of Lomé, Togo. He is the translator, freelance interpreter, and bilingual communicator. He holds the position of a country director in the international organization IMDID. He has coordinated the activities of IIU in his country, Togo. He adds beauty to our international conference today with his grateful presence. It's my privilege to welcome Sir Dr. Kofi Abuchi, Assistant Professor of University of Lomé, Togo. Sir, now the platform is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, dear Ivanti, for the introduction. I'm so pleased and honored to be here today. I would like to first of all say a big thank you to the organizers of this conference. My special regard to Cape Comorian University and all the partners that have made this conference possible. I would also like to say a big thank you to Saija Vasudeva for all the effort, communication, and every information shared so far. So if you allow me to proceed, I will now share my screen and proceed with my communication. Should I proceed now?
Yes, sir.
Should I continue with my lecture?
Yes, sir, you can proceed.
Okay. Thank you so much. So let me my screen. My Google Meet is having a little challenge, so it's taking a bit of time. Okay, I'm there now. Good. Yeah, once again, thank you for giving me this chance. As the moderator has said it, I am a junior lecturer, assistant at the University of Lomé, and my domain or my specialty is American literature. How do I get to know Steinbeck? Right in my master's years, I've read a lot of fictional work on American literature. And it is Steinbeck, particularly, who has caught my attention, especially through the reading of his masterpiece, The Grapes of Wrath, written in 1939. This work really caught my attention with a particular character. This is Marjorie. Marjorie is a key figure in Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath. And this character description caught my attention. Why? Because this woman, unlike most of the women we see in fiction, especially in fiction of the 20th century, was a key person all over the plot of this novel. She was a fighter, she was a leader, she was a guide. He represented the form of leadership we usually see fictional writers attribute to men. So I decided to investigate upon this, to make more research and write on it. So with this, was written on this character, the Marjorie. In fact, the title of my master's paper is Breaking Traditional Gender Roles, a reading of John Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath. So breaking traditional gender roles is now my research led me to show how Steinbeck, through this character in particular, which is Marjorie, through her, Steinbeck has managed to break traditional gender roles, those roles which portrays women as weak and only good for kitchen, who are not considered as capable of playing key roles in society, leadership roles in particular. But Steinbeck, unlike most of the male writers and even female writers of his time, has given this power to women, especially this woman in this masterpiece, who was able to emerge first from a male-dominated society, a patriarchal society, to be able not to fight men, but to play leadership roles, to work for the good of her community and also her family. That was very, very touching for me. And then with my doctorate dissertation, I still continue with Steinbeck, but then I broaden the domain of research. Why? Because I saw in most of Steinbeck's fiction a, a topic that usually comes back. That's what we call social justice. Steinbeck is a social activist, a man who cares so much of his surrounding, especially the poor and the underprivileged. And Steinbeck uh, showed through his piece of fiction that he has a special heart for the needy, for the underprivileged, and those in needs. So, reason why with my doctorate I still wrote on Steinbeck, and the topic was the topic this time was social justice and the traditional gender roles in Steinbeck's fiction. And I focus mainly on his Das Bowl trilogy. The Das Bowl trilogy is the works Steinbeck wrote during the Great Depression, especially the time we call Dust Bowl in Oklahoma, and in this especially the center and the south of the U.S., which was stricken severely by a drought. Now, let me now proceed. My screen sharing. I think I can't see the rest of my diapo, my slides. Okay, good. Thank you. So I've already shared my abstract. Here it is again. Now, my topic in this is about women leadership. I really decided to share a bit more on the issue of female leadership in Steinbeck's fiction. You know, Steinbeck was born in 1902 in February, and he was an influential writer of the 20th century. He wrote several pieces of fiction and non-fiction, and in his fiction, he proved to be a social writer, one whose heart is tightly connected with the underprivileged. And as I has already said it, his pieces like Of Mice and Men, The Grapes of Wrath, and East of Eden, he gave female characters key roles, and sometimes some these characters are considered as the protagonists. Marjorie in The Grapes of Wrath epitomizes this as the whole plot revolves around her, and the George family depend heavily on her leadership and guidance. So I will now focus on this figure, Marjorie, which I consider a central figure in the Grapes of Wrath. Let me a bit go back and talk about Steinbeck himself. If you read Steinbeck, or if you're familiar with Steinbeck's fiction, you will be a bit surprised to see the way he described his characters, or the kind of stories he tells. These are not purely fictional. These are not purely man-made or himself-made. These are usually journalistic investigations. Steinbeck did his own investigations about stories he heard around him, about acts of injustice, and then he will investigate them and put what he has discovered in a form of a fiction. So they are not entirely fictional, especially the works like Of Mice and Men, um, In Dubious Battle, and then The Grapes of Wrath. Even East of Eden also was written as a journalistic investigation work. And Steinbeck was heavily criticized by some critics. He was deemed as somebody who does not give too much characterization development to his characters. He does not try to present them on a very specific way, making them looking very fictional. And for a good reason, because his aim was not to produce a fictional work that will interest readers, but rather to show facts the way they are, to present the story the way he saw it fit. So if you read Steinbeck's autobiography, the work we consider as Steinbeck's autobiography, which is Steinbeck, A Life in Letters, through many of his letters he shared with his friends, his producers, and the family, he made it clear that his intention is to present the fact as it is, whether people like it or not. He's not there to make things fancy, to make things very attractive, very particular in any way, not at all. And that's why I, for one, like Steinbeck, because he is for the truth, he is for fact. He just stick to the facts and not on using some literary ways to depict his characters to get more love from people in the literary field. Not at all. So this work of The Grapes of Wrath was a work he documented over many years. After the Great Depression in America, the Great Depression started after the end of the First World War. The First World War, which ended in 1918. After the war, America entered progressively, not just after, progressively into a period we call the Great Depression. And it started when the Wall Street stock exchange crash in October 1929. So after the crash of the stock of Wall Street, many companies closed, and many businesses closed. The purchasing power became very low. It's difficult to even have money to buy anything. Now, those with no good education, not from Anglo-Saxon origin, not from the elite class, found themselves impoverished. And that's the case of this family of the Grapes of Wrath. They were they became totally poor. They couldn't says, the lands in Oklahoma by that time were held by tenants. Those people who have the special permission, or who are allowed to to work on the land, and then they will be paying the banks after they get their harvest. But then with the not only with the Great Depression and the economic crisis, but also with a serious drought that struck the region at that time. Rains became very scarce, very rare, and the trouble became double for these poor and underprivileged people. And with this, you will see that uh, the the harvest was no more there, and the people had no money to pay the bank, and the banks with the bank system, which is linked with the capitalistic system in America, had no choice but to just seize the lands and force these people to migrate, to leave their land. And then they were fooled that there is a lot of jobs in California. So if they move, they will find a lot of opportunities there. Harvests of apples and grapes are so abundant. You don't even need to work hard before you feed yourself. And they had to leave and go there. But life there was not as the planned. And just like Matt Jod felt it, it was a nightmare. It didn't go well. But you will see that when life was getting worse, capitalism together with patriarchy was going down. And then many people, many uh, um, male leaders became weak. And because money usually give power to man, without money, man becomes kind of weak. And this gave the chance to Marjorie to step in, to step up, not to challenge anyone, but to play her role as a leader in the absence of a male dominance in this work. So the story normally revolve around a family, the George family. We have Tom George, and then we have Marjorie, we have Grandpa, we have Grandma, you have Ruthie, and we also have a preacher called Jim Casey, who traveled around with them. The story revolves around these people. But if you read well, Marjorie was a central figure in this work. So this line, the eyes of the whole family shifted back to mom. She was the power. She had taken control. This shows that this person was described as an unusual character. She has taken control of the situation, and she proved to be a model character in this work. I would also like to present Ma as a leader. Ma, yes, is truly a leader because she took she took control, and she helped the family to survive in this difficult time. She not only attended to the needs of her family, especially grandma and grandpa who were dying at the time, but also she took care of the people they met on the way. And while in California, she took care of other people also. She even fought sometimes on behalf of other people. And this line from the Grapes of Wrath epitomizes very well. Well, we got to look over your stuff. You got to unload. This one is when a sheriff, a police stopped them on the way while they were going to California, and they asked them to unload. But at that time, grandpa was very, very sick, and they could not unload at that time. It was not possible. But then Pa was not reacting. Nobody was reacting, and then Ma climbed heavily down from the truck. Her face was swollen and her eyes hard. Mister, we got a sick old lady. We got to get her to a doctor. We can't wait. She seemed to fight with hysteria. You can't make us wait. And then you see the next line which read, the officer turned to his companion. I couldn't hold them. So Steinberg here demonstrated that a woman can play a leadership role. A woman can step up and work for the good of their community. So this is very vivid and the key in this work. Ma is also the head of the family. She proved to be the head of the family. Yes, somebody was where was Pa? Pa was there. The dad, the husband was there. But as I said it, if you read the beginning of the novel, you will see that with the misfortune that fell on this community, men with no money power became weak. You see, here you can see that Ma said they can't just get up and step outside when they feel like it. Pa, run on out and tell them Tommy is home. Grandpa is favorite of him. Here you see that Majo is even commending or giving orders to her husband, and not even talking to him as patriarchal, as the patriarchal norms taught us to do it, but just say, "Pa, run out," and then is home. So my husband, go and do this, just like an order. Of course, Steinberg did not present Ma as an impolite person, as a revolutionary character, not at all. But she played these key roles. And when I read Ayawa V. Kinnom in her feminine leadership, in her article, she said, Ma Jo is a powerful figure in the Joad family. She's probably the ideal figure, the heroine. She acts vigorously in opposition to the men folks who are actually down out of desperation. When it's the sake of preservation of the family unit, she's a person of high intuition and communication, a determined and loving woman. Ma Jo emerges as the family's center of strength, as Pa Jo gradually becomes less effective as a leader and provider. Regardless of how bleak circumstances become, every obstacle unflinchingly. Time and again, Ma displays a startling capacity to keep herself together and to keep the family together in face of great turmoil. End of quote. So as you can see it here again, this character is very, very strong, very key in the novel. Now, I will leave, although there are other characters that played that supported female leadership, but with because of the time, I will go a bit fast. I have a lot of issues to cover here. I am in Steinberg's will I say biggest novel, or a novel he took a lot of love to write. He thought this could become his masterpiece, but it didn't. It didn't. Why is, or as I said it, it was the Grapes of Wrath that was his masterpiece. But it took a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of ambition to write this novel called The East of Eden. East of Eden, just like the Grapes of Wrath, did not look like a fictional way, rather like just a journalistic piece of writing, like a documented story. Yes, but here he wanted to tell the story of his family from both sides, and go back to the past just to show where they come from and how people lived in the world in which they were born, the world in which their fathers and mothers were born. So in this novel, he depicted a character, a female character called Cathy Trask. You know the story about about two family, the Hamiltons and the Trask. So Cathy Trask was depicted in this novel as an independent force. Many critics will not agree with what I'm saying, and of course, many do not agree with it because they see this character as a bad person, like as a negative force in the world. But why do I present Cathy as an independent force in East of Eden? Before before presenting Cathy Trask, Sternberg presented another person in the upper line of the family called Alice Hamilton. Alice was a type of women we normally see: subservient, obedient, and powerful in her role as a woman, as a mother. She's good at home. She although she does not look like I mean to quote a slave or um, a second class citizen, but she accepted her role as a woman. And then the sad reality is that did not even please her husband. Her husband used that to ill treat her, to make her suffer. The husband will go out, drink, will go after girls and do whatever he wants. All these things that made the life miserable for this woman. So somewhere along the way, the we will say nature or maybe the creator will send another personality to show society that, listen, when people are being subservient, when people want to play their roles, you also have to do your part. You can't treat people anyhow. So this character, Cathy, was the opposite, was the kind of revenge character of Alice Hamilton. The way Alice was ill-treated, despite her submission, despite her respect for her man, was was not well seen by nature, and then that's why a character like Cathy will emerge, and she proved to be the arrogant type of person. But then, if you look through it, you see a person who has taken control of his destiny, who refuses to let her destiny be dictated by other people, but by herself. And now, as a society does not want women to play any key role in that at that time, I'm talking about the 20th century. As society viewed women as just an object, as society just considered women as a gift that they can just use as anyhow, without even any respect, without any consideration for their personality. This woman came and said, no, me, I don't want to submit to anything. And because of the dictats of society, she can't just earn her position. She had to fight for it. And that's why you will see her using lies, deceit, using tricks to get her way, which was negative, which was not good. The way she used were not good at all. But it's a message to stand back. You will even see her as a prostitute, using her body for to get what she wants to get power over men. Through prostitution, you will see her taking control of men, manipulating them, and even men begging to go after her, begging for a chance to stay with her. These are a way for Steinberg to just, it's a message for Steinberg, for society, that listen, if you don't give opportunities to women, if you don't give consideration to women, don't think that they are powerless. Women are powerful. Women have power. They are strong. If you don't give them opportunities, they are capable of creating them themselves. But if they do, you won't like it. If they do get control, if they do get the power that should normally come to them, you will not like it. So it's better you treat them as collaborators, as humans, just like you. So Kate appeared to be a strong character in this novel. Thank you. So now let me go to Ted Steinbeck's other books. With a character, you if you read it, at the first reading, you will be like, "What? This person is not well described." You will criticize Steinbeck for this person, this character, but it's also another message he has to convey to society. So we are now with the Steinbeck, a third book of Steinbeck called Of Mice and Men. Of Mice. In this the story, it's a fully located in the Great Depression era, where many workers has become migrant workers. Job became scarce, so you have to move from place to place looking for jobs. If you find one here, you do maybe for 1 week, 1 month, or two, and then you move to another. So there was these two people, Lenny and George, traveling together looking for jobs. And when they came to a ranch, they met the ranch owner and many other workers there. And the ranch owner's son is called Curly, and he had a wife who played a key role. Like, the story will not be the way it is without her. Her actions affected even the end of the story. But you will see throughout this short novelette that this character does not have a name. Why? Why no name? But you will see that Lenny was depicted as a very dumb. Some people think that Steinbeck was looking down on women, did not want to give them respect. But if you see in this same novel, a man was depicted as a totally dumb person, as a person who does not have a brain even at all. Like, person who does not have a brain, who is Lenny, a tall, very big person, a man, but with no brain, like who reason negatively, who cannot keep anything in his mind, who only all he knows in his life is to pet rats and all that. So Steinbeck does not look down on women. He shows people the way they are and the way society, it shows the society views them. The society views them, and then with that, he has a message behind it. So you will see that this Curly's wife, when Lenny and George were at the ranch, at the time the family had to move. The other ranch worker had to go to town to entertain themselves, to go to clubs and whatever. So Lenny stayed with Curly's wife, and then it didn't end well. By the time people came back, the woman was dead. Lenny killed the woman without even knowing what he did. And because of that death, Lenny himself has to die, and die with his dream, with American dream in the end, and it was a side ending to the novel. But why did Steinbeck do that? Steinbeck has this to tell society that, listen, if you still neglect the presence of women, the very presence, it's not even sometimes it's just the negation or the like overlooking. People tend to do as if women don't exist, but they do exist, and they have an important place. So if you not naming a character is something very very great, something we can even consider an injustice, but it's because of some societies, especially the American societies. Let me open a parenthesis here. When we're talking about these things, sometimes in the third world, many people think the realities in America is the same everywhere. Not at all. The realities in America are not the same everywhere. In societies like Africa, for example, women were treated with so much respect and importance, even if they were not given sometimes leadership roles. They they have more they have more power than we think, and society revolves around them. But if in any society women are treated like they were treated in 20th century America, then we can learn from these and better our actions. Now, let me quickly just pick one character out of many from Steinbeck's long stories. In his collection of stories, of short stories, The Long Valley, Steinbeck presented a character in one of his stories. Is the Eliza Allen. Eliza Allen was an important character in the short, very short, short story, or in a very short story entitled Chrysanthemums. In the Chrysanthemums, Allen was depicted as a mother, a wife, but one who, because she was married to, she was a married person, she was not allowed to go out and play leadership roles. She herself created her dream world in a form of a garden. In her garden where she produces the chrysanthemums, the flowers. She gave all her attention to it, and she took it as the dream world she would like to build. In another word, okay, I am put aside. I'm not allowed to play some roles, but listen, let me create my own world where I have control, where I can take my decision. And you can even see when the husband, at the time, the husband invited her, like, would you like to go to town? I'm going to town, let's go together. She said, no, I'm not going. I have my own word. I don't need to do the same thing like men do. I don't need to play the same roles, but I am myself. So if we read what Nikki Marie Garcia had to say about Steinbeck's characters, she said the chrysanthemum tells the story of Eliza Allen, who loves working in her garden outside her husband's farm. She successfully produces beautiful and strong flowers, but longs to contribute more to her family and world at large. So you can see that this this fact of producing beautiful and strong flowers is just a symbol of her love, her desire, her longing and desire to contribute to family and the world at large. Eliza takes care of her husband, but her responsibility do not include child rearing like Marjo's. The stakes are not as high as her family, as her life, as they are for the George family in the Graves of Wrath. She also hasn't been pushed to extremes yet, like Cathy Truss. Eliza still entertains the idea of freedom, but hasn't reached a place of no return when it comes to her sanity. And she has not approached that moment when she's willing to do anything in order to break out of her garden-shaped prison. So this is this character, Eliza Allen, who was seen by many critics as a weak character, as a prison, a prisoner, whatever. But people tend to overlook the description Steinbeck gave this character, the condition in which they are. Steinbeck does not present his characters as revolutionary, but rather as people who either willing to accept the dictats of society or ready to challenge them, who use the means they have at their disposal to find their peace, to find their place that gives them peace and joy in society. So as a conclusion, yes, that's what I've said as his message. And let's point out that women's liberation is crucial for the welfare of society. It's advised to work so that society can move towards a genderless society, a society in which people will not be judged according to their gender. But as Martin Luther King Jr. said it, people should be judged according to the content of their character. So Steinbeck's fight is not to favor a gender group against another. He does not aim at this demonstration in his fiction that men should be ruled and oppressed by women. No. He advocated a form of communication between men and women, and that's one of the reasons why he empowered Ma and other female characters in the graves of Rab. Steinbeck's fight is for social justice. He won justice among humans. Social justice. Every society must get organized and find a way to promote peace by connecting all members of society, by valuing all members of society, by giving consideration and the rightful place to every member of the society. So his desire is to see a society where men and women are treated equally. Even if we are not equal, we can treat everybody equally, like treating people with respect and giving them the place they deserve, leaving them the opportunity to play the role they desire to play. So, yes, this is then my conclusion. Thank you all for giving me the chance. I think I will stop here. If there are any questions, any issues, I will gladly accept them. Thank you so much.